Hi, Lane. When you first auditioned for the judges on American Idol, Luke Bryan said, and I agreed with him, if you're not careful, you might just win American Idol. I think he was very correct in that assessment. I think you won over a lot of people, and indeed, you could have won the whole thing. But I was also thinking, if they're not careful, they're going to lose this guy in the very same way that they've lost a lot of other people before, and then ended up with a lackluster winner who maybe they got a career, but ultimately they didn't do so well. But you're a very talented performer. There's no doubt about that. You can sing and play, and you can do it in front of audiences, and you can do it very well. But there is a certain prejudice that exists, and I'll get to that in just a minute. There is this prejudice toward, well, here's the thing that's so appealing about your backstory. You're a shy guy, and you have said so, and that's been discussed. And yet, you've discovered this talent and found that you are a very good, very talented performer. Now, in the performance industry, as well as society at large, there is this prejudice toward the uber extroverted types. You know, people brag about being outgoing as if that is some kind of virtue, and really it's not. And I think with this silly group round, and I do consider it silly, it's just a way, an easy way to eliminate a lot of people. That a lot of the people in the industry as well as the public at large lean toward these uber extroverted, outgoing types as if they're going to be the best performers automatically, and that's just stupid as hell, in my opinion. I'm going to tell you something that you probably don't know, because in fact most people don't know it. Did you know that a lot of introverts are very successful performers on stage and screen and other aspects of public life? And they don't change their basic personalities to do that. In fact, I don't think you can. People are divided into introverts and extroverts, and there's also a middle ground called ambiverts. These characteristics exist on a continuum. There are varying degrees of introversion and extroversion, and our society in the United States is very much oriented toward the extroverts. It's assumed that they're going to be the best performers and the best people in various kinds of public life. And what people miss with introverted public figures is there is a difference between their performance life and their personal life. There's a very direct difference. Now, everything is connected, just like they say in Chinese medicine. Everything is connected. But did you know that some very successful people have in fact been introverts? Oprah Winfrey is one. Everybody knows Oprah. She's very famous, but she is a strong introvert. The comedian Jerry Seinfeld, believe it or not, is a very strong introvert, and yet he had a very successful television show in the 1990s that lasted for 9 seasons and has continued to have a very successful career, and yet he's an introvert. The actor Tom Selleck is an introvert. In the 1980s, he had a very successful show called Magnum P.I., and that went on for a number of seasons. And then later on, he went to star in the Jesse Stone movies. So he's had a very successful career. Barack Obama is an introvert, and he was elected president twice. And completely apart from public policy, we're not talking about policy here because I know he wasn't popular in Louisiana, but he had a personal style that was offensive to a lot of people because his closest associates, the people that he really opened up to, were a very small group, a very small inner circle. He wasn't one of these backslapping, outgoing types, and a lot of people didn't like that. Now, here's one that goes way before your time. He's been dead a long time ago now, but the actor Michael Landon was an introvert. He starred in 3 major television series. In the 1960s, there was Bonanza, the Western, starred as Joe Cartwright. Then in the 1970s, moving slightly into the early 80s, he starred as Charles Ingalls on the very popular show Little House on the Prairie. Then he did it again with another show called Highway to Heaven. So, and these are just a few examples. You can research this for yourself if you want to, But a lot of introverts do very, very well in the performing arts. And yet there is this prejudice in society and in the industry that the good performers, the great performers, are going to be outgoing uber extroverts. Well, you know what? I'm an introvert too. But that hasn't stopped me from doing a lot of things. My personality remains intact, but I've done much more public speaking than most people. My last audience, and I think the biggest one, was about 100 people that I spoke to live. And I always won accolades as a public speaker, believe it or not. And yet, I'm also a very reserved person. But I worked in broadcasting at one point many years ago. I was a news reporter and a news anchor on local radio, back when local radio stations had local news departments. Most of them don't anymore. And it's a funny thing, my news director said to the other staff members one day, Paul doesn't really say a lot, but he sure does get the story. A member of that staff actually wanted to buy that station shortly before I left, and he said, if this works out and you want to come to work for us, just come right on over. You don't even have to apply. It's a done deal. You can come have a job with us anytime. And the news business, I eventually did get out of that in certain ways. I'm glad that I did. I've also done a little bit of stage acting. Came very close to winning a Best Supporting Actor award one time. Now, how do I do all this? Well, there is a difference between your personal life and your public persona. At the personal level, I don't open up to a lot of people. The people who know me best are a very small, very tight group, and those are the people that I associate with most. I prefer to socialize and spend time with people one-to-one or in small, intimate groups. I'm not one of these social animals who wants to go all over town, do all the backslapping, and claim to have 500 friends. Anybody who claims that is deceiving themselves. The uber extroverted people, they really get on my nerves sometimes. I consider those people a lot of time. Now, I can enjoy being around them in short bursts sometime, but I get tired of it eventually. But the uber extroverted people, to me, they tend to be annoying, superficial, overly pushy, aggressive, and I think they cross lines that they shouldn't cross. Very presumptuous, and I don't like that. And so I have a very tight group of close associates who really know me. And then there's a vast majority who actually don't. And yet I can perform on a stage. I can speak to an audience. I can talk on the radio. And I'm on Facebook raising the devil about various subjects in this video as I'm doing right now. Introversion is not something that's going to stop you from being a successful performer. In fact, it can be a strength. One thing about us introverts is that we find it easier to step into roles and play another person than other people do. And that's one reason that a lot of introverts are so successful. Now, I've mentioned some names. Some of those you may have known, others maybe not, but you can research this subject if you want to. You can be a big star. The introversion, the shyness doesn't have to stop you because the talent is definitely there. And that's one of the reasons that I was rooting for you so strongly, because the talent is there. You have the right personality, the right persona to be a huge star, and yet you're a shy guy and possibly very introverted. Chuck Norris has admitted that he's a shy guy. He starred for many years on Walker, Texas Ranger, and a lot of movies, and was karate champion of the world and all that, and had a very public persona, but he also has a private persona. He's a very private person. He's a very introverted person, and like they say in Chinese medicine, I think I mentioned it all before, everything is connected. Your personality that some people might see as a weakness can actually be a strength. And I think this silly group round, and I've complained about it very often, has eliminated a lot of really good people. And I think that sometimes the winners of certain seasons have been lackluster because the judges and maybe a certain percentage of the voting public were betting on that outgoing personality, and it doesn't necessarily work out that way sometimes because in the group rounds they eliminated some of their best people. It does happen. It's unfortunate that it happened, but it does. Well, I was really rooting for you because of the fact that you're a reserve guy who happens to be very talented. That's not a strange thing at all. It's not. People might think it's strange, but it's not. A lot of very reserved, introverted, even shy people end up being fantastic performers, and some even in political life, and you can research that for yourself. So what I want to say to you is that you've hit a little bit of a roadblock right now. And there might be a temptation to kind of give it up because, as I understand it, this talent is something that you only discovered recently, but you're a great singer. You sung that song about the hurricane. I can't remember the name of it, but it's one that I've heard many years on the radio, and I thought you did a fantastic job. You have the voice, you have the instrument, you're a good musician as far as I've heard, and I just think you have a lot of potential. And it could be very discouraging to kind of hit the wall, as you apparently did with American Idol. But remember that on that show, as well as a lot of the entertainment industry, there is a certain prejudice, and it's a stupid prejudice. It's ridiculous, but they are prejudiced toward the uber extroverted, outgoing types, and that's why they say the group round tells them so much. Well, it doesn't tell me much at all. I think you can learn to work with the people that you'd have to work with as a solo performer. I'm sure you could do that. I don't think, you're pretty new to this, and the fact that it was difficult to start with doesn't mean it would stay difficult forever, and so I really don't think group rounds tell a whole lot. What tells me stuff is how people perform when they're in their element on that stage. Now, I'm familiar with Louisiana. I don't know, I can't remember what part you're from, but I've got relatives in St. Charles Parish, and I visited New Orleans, and I think you're kind of out from New Orleans, maybe not really close there. I can't remember exactly where. And the problem you face is that opportunities for live performance don't present themselves very much in the more remote areas. But one thing you can do is use internet platforms to present your talent, and some people have done so very successfully using YouTube and other sources, and they eventually attract a following, and sometimes they attract the attention of producers and directors and so forth, and they're able to go on with their careers in that way. So I don't want you to give up, because you definitely have the ability, and I hate to see people like you cut for the reasons that I think you were cut for. I don't think that's fair at all. But, the talent is there. You can do this. Can Lane Hardy be a big star? He has the potential. I've seen it. Lots of other people have seen it. And you got a lot of people on your side. So don't give up that dream. You can do YouTube videos from now on. There's no limit to how far that could go. And if you really want this, keep on keeping on. Start doing really good videos and upload them on a regular basis. Chances for live performances, there may not be as many where you live, but you definitely have the internet, and I hope you continue, because the potential is definitely there. So having said that, I just want to say to you, don't ever give up on that dream if it's something you really want, and keep on keeping on. And your personality need not be a roadblock. It actually can help you, because it will allow you to focus more on the task at hand. One thing we introverted types are very good at is focus and determination. So don't stop. Keep on keeping on. Keep on performing. Keep on getting your performances noticed by the public, and I think you may just get there one of these days. Best of luck to you, Lane. I look forward to hearing you on the radio one of these days.